In Western countries, arcades have changed significantly, often housing more retro games than anything new. Pay a flat fee, come on in, and enjoy the games. I do love that, but in many Asian countries, more traditional arcades are still alive and well. But the development and release of games in arcades has changed a lot. These machines are typically networked together or contain multiple games on a single unit. But many of the same companies from back in the day are still around to one degree or another. And this is where companies like Sega Amusements comes in. They've developed numerous titles using Sega properties over the years, and one of those games is Daytona USA 3. Well, at one point it was known as Daytona 3, it is now known as Daytona Championship USA. And this one is very interesting to me. Released roughly around 2017, this new version of Daytona features brand new updated visuals, new tracks, and remastered classic tracks, plus a whole new modern cabinet. The idea is to recreate the original Daytona experience for a new audience while polishing up the visuals, and honestly, I think it works. The bold colors and visual enhancements very much feel in line with the Lindbergh era of Sega arcade games, with more modern visual techniques at play, yet retaining that stylized look. But I always wanted to see how it compared to the 1993 original, given that they are so closely related, so I've put together this side-by-side gallery showcasing exactly that. And as you can see, it definitely does seem to share the underlying physics and control systems of that original game, which also makes it easy to keep the two in full alignment. The new game boasts more realistic colors than the original's primary hues, but I still feel that it retains that vibrant look. It strikes a nice balance between realism and exaggerated style. Obviously, things like shadow maps are now available, not to mention realistic reflections generated by probes combined with cube maps. The cars, of course, feature more polygons, though the camera positioning and FOV do feel slightly different for sure. The trees and other foliage are now fully modeled, and even Sonic's iconic figure carved into the side of the mountain has now been fully modeled. And when you finish a race, you're treated to an identical victory sequence, save for the addition of credits, which reveals the staff to be a rather international crowd this time around. Next up then is the Seaside Street Galaxy. Much like the prior track, the color scheme has shifted away from the bold primaries of the original game. The skies are still very much blue, but a different shade of blue. World geometry has been expanded, and Jeffrey's infamous hopping statue has been replaced with Akira. The rest of the track features the expected improvements, including boosted world geometry and higher resolution textures, on top of all those modern rendering features I already mentioned. This continues in Dinosaur Canyon, of course, though the tone of the lighting has changed once more. It's interesting to see how the developers have approached this project, and I feel overall they've done a great job at capturing the flavor of Daytona with a modern flair. But did you know that Sega mistakenly released this game for download for free several years ago? That's right, Daytona Championship runs on PC hardware, much like most modern arcade games, and these games are regularly updated over the internet. Sega Amusements released an update package for the game that was unprotected and contained the entire game. It was just put out there on their website for download, and that version happens to run well on any PC. Whoops. Given this though, I'm pretty disappointed that Sega has not opted to release an official home console version of the game. After all, it feels true to the series' roots, with an aesthetic that is a natural progression of the Daytona USA look. Sure, I still prefer the second game, but I think this final entry in the series is extremely enjoyable. And I think it could have found a home audience as well, considering it doesn't exactly have super wide distribution. Alas, as of today, it remains an arcade exclusive, at least technically.